Millionaire is shocked when collecting rent and discovers a girl sewing exhausted. Alex Westwood, the billionaire known for his grand parties and fast cars, was not accustomed to the world of raw reality. He breezed through life in a tailored suit and polished shoes. His day structured around meetings, lavish lunches, and the occasional yacht getaway. Yet there he was, stepping into the cramped hallway of a modest apartment building he barely recalled purchasing. The stale air was thick with a blend of mystery and neglect. The walls adorned with peeling paint and whispers of forgotten dreams. His phone buzzed incessantly, reminders piled up like the dust in the corners. He rolled his eyes. It's just rent, he thought, approaching a door marked with a smudged number. Before he could knock, the door creaked open to reveal a sight that froze him in his tracks. Inside, the room was a riot of colour and chaos. Bolts of fabric cascaded across the floor like a wild rainbow. Luminous threads tangled like vines around a wooden chair. In the midst of this textile storm sat Emma, a young seamstress, hunched over a sewing machine that whirred like a malfunctioning heartbeat. Her hands, delicate yet strong, danced over the fabric, stitching dreams while exhaustion painted dark circles under her eyes. She looked up, startled by his presence. A smudge of blue dye marked her cheek, giving her the air of an artist lost in her craft, her brow furrowed in confusion. As she took in his finely tailored suit amidst her clatter. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice weary yet tinged with a spark of defiance. Alex, initially taken aback, remembered his purpose. "I'm here for rent. It's overdue." He glanced at the scattered remnants of her hard work. Dresses, patterns, sketches. Each piece a story, a sacrifice. But as he watched her, something stirred within him. The faint scent of laundry detergent mixed with the soft echoes of her machine, sent a wave of unexpected emotion surging through him. He noticed the way her shoulders trembled slightly under the weight of her task, the determination etched in her features. A lump formed in his throat. Was chasing money really the only measure of success? Suddenly, a flicker of recognition ignited in his mind. He stared deeper into her eyes, searching. They were familiar, almost haunting. Emma looked down, fiddling with the fabric. "I'm just trying to make it," she murmured, the vulnerability in her tone cutting through his guarded exterior. Before he could speak, a tattered photograph slipped from her desk, fluttering to the ground. He picked it up, and a gasp escaped his lips. There stood a young woman, radiant and carefree, a ghost from his past. His lost love. The memory surged back, a bittersweet tide of longing and regret rushing to meet him. In that moment, everything shifted. Emma was no longer just a tenant. She was a piece of a life he once cherished. The rent faded into the background, replaced by an urgent need to connect, to understand. What were the chances? Within that connection, a battle raged inside him. How could he reconcile his lavish lifestyle with her struggles? Could he look the other way? Forgive her overdue rent without it seeming like charity? Alex stood frozen, hearts racing. What would he do? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without any notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming up. And while you're here, hit that powerful like button. It helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, from which city are you watching? I love getting to know every incredible person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. As Alex held the photograph, memories crashed over him like a wave, nearly knocking the breath from his chest. The girl in the picture was Sarah, the one who had laughed so freely, who had brightened every room she entered. He hadn't seen her in years, a lifetime lost to misunderstandings and hurt. Emma blinked, seemingly sensing the shift in the air, her expression morphing from confusion to concern. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice laced with worry. The delicate machine hummed softly, momentarily forgotten. "Do you know her?" he whispered, the photo trembling under his fingers. Emma hesitated, glancing between the picture and his face, an expression of dread washing over her. Maybe, but before she could finish her thought, a loud crash resounded from the hallway, breaking the moment. The door slammed open, and a burly man burst in, panting heavily. His eyes were wild, darting around the small room as if searching for something or someone. "Emma! You need to leave now!" he yelled, his voice raw and urgent. "What?" Emma's fright echoed in her voice. The sewing machine forgotten. Alex's heart raced. "Who are you?" he demanded, standing rigid. The man pointed a shaking finger toward Emma. "You don't understand. They are coming for you. You can't stay." Confusion etched deep into Alex's features, but Emma's reaction was more visceral. She paled, the colour draining from her face, as if she'd seen a ghost. "Jake, please, I thought we were done with this." "I thought so too, but it's not over. They know where you are." He grabbed her arm, urgency radiating from him. "We have to go, now!" Emma struggled against him, her fear palpable. "I can't just leave. I have my $100,000 worth of fabric won't save you," he shouted. The words landed heavy in the room, silent after the storm of his entrance. Alex felt a knot in his stomach. "What the hell is going on?" he asked, stepping closer, feeling an inexplicable tug toward Emma. "It's not what you think," Emma replied, her voice trembling now. I'm not who you think I am." He shook his head, confusion spiraling into a whirlpool of emotions. "What does that mean?" Without answering, Emma darted to the desk, snatching the photograph from his hand. Panic filled her eyes as she stashed it away. "You have to trust me! I'll explain everything, but not here." "Why should I trust you?" Alex felt betrayed, the weight of his past, his connection to her, crumbling like dash in his palms. Just then, there was a loud bang in the hallway, followed by footsteps that echoed like thunder. The moment stretched. Reality twisting in a way that left him breathless. "Emma!" Jake's voice cut through the tension. "We have to go, now!" An icy fear gripped Alex. Suddenly, everything felt fraught with danger, every tease of familiarity morphing into shadows of dread. Emma turned to him, desperation flooding her gaze. "Please, just follow me." In that instant, everything changed. The woman stitching fabric, who seemed so wrapped in dreams, was now shaded in tones of fear and urgency. And then, without warning, the door burst open again, a figure silhouetted against the bright hallway, tall and imposing, their features obscured. "It's time to pay your debts, Emma," the figure said, voice smooth but terrifying. Alex's heart sank. This wasn't just about overdue rent anymore. It was a storm converging, secrets unraveling before him. "Who are you?" he shouted, a mix of fear and anger bursting forth. But all he received in return was a chilling smile. And suddenly, the girl he felt an inexplicable connection to was pulled further away into a danger he couldn't yet comprehend. The world shifted beneath his feet, leaving him dangling on the edge of confusion, desperate to understand, desperate to act before it was too late. The figure standing in the doorway laughed, low and unsettling, as if they were a puppet master. "Time to pay your debts, Emma." Emma's face twisted in horror, dread spilling from her eyes. "You don't understand, Enough!" the figure interrupted, stepping forward, casting a long shadow over the room. The light from the hallway flickered ominously, revealing a scar on their cheek, a testament to a dark past. Alex felt his heart pounding in his chest, blood rushing in his ears. "What do you want with her?" he demanded, his stomach tightening, the air thick with tension. The figure turned to him, their gaze icy. "This doesn't concern you, rich boy." "Not so fast," Alex shouted, stepping between Emma and this looming threat. The chaos of the room seemed to fade, each breath taking forever. The sudden stillness hung heavy as he faced the assault. "Let her go!" Emma looked at him, eyes wide and pleading. It was a moment frozen in time, edged with fear and desperation. Then a strangled cry escaped her lips. "Alex, please, don't!" But before she finished, the figure lunged, shoving Alex aside as if he was nothing. He stumbled, regaining his balance just in time to see Emma's terrified face morph into something else. A flicker of recognition. "No," she gasped as a tremor ran through her body. You can't be." The figure straightened, a smirk creeping onto their lips. "Oh, but I am, Emma." A strange wave crashed through the room like an electric jolt. Alex's spirit dropped. Something was off. The connection he felt with Emma, so profound moments ago, felt frayed and thin. "What do you mean?" he interjected, confusion rising as petals of truth curled and etched in the air between them. Suddenly, Emma's face hardened, the sheen of fear shifting to defiance. "I thought I was free. I thought they let you go," she whispered, voice cracking under pressure. Alex's mind raced. "What's happening?" But before she could reply, the figure slammed a fist against the table, sending bolts of fabric scattering. "Idiot! You're just a pawn in this game. You've always been." Panic burst within Alex like a shot, propelling him forward. "What game?" he demanded, chest tight, as realization struck him. A sense of betrayal stirred, a lingering doubt that he'd missed something vital. With a swift movement, Emma spun around, eyes blazing with a mix of fury and sorrow. "You were never supposed to find out!" The words hung in the air, heavy and pulsating with emotion. "Find out what?" His voice cracked with desperation, but the figure grinned, licking their lips as if savouring the unfolding drama. The truth is, Emma's not just any seamstress, and you, Alex, are deeper in this than you know. A click echoed in the distance, and a door creaked open further down the corridor. Footsteps approached, amplified by the panic swirling around them, thickening the atmosphere, wrapping them in an impending storm. The figure turned slightly, glancing back with a devilish excitement. Just wait, they'll come for you. After all, debts must be settled. Alex's pulse raced. What do you mean? Who is coming? But the figure took one last look at Emma, eyes gleaming with menace. No one escapes the past, Emma. Not now, not ever. And then, without warning, the fluorescent lights flickered violently before plunging them into darkness. Silence enveloped the room for a moment, thick and suffocating, filled with the echoes of fear. When the lights blinked back on, the figure was gone, but the tension hung like smoke, stinging his eyes. Emma looked lost, shook, her breath uneven. I didn't want you to find out like this, but I gave them everything. A stillness settled, holding a weight so profound. What had just happened? What was the truth lurking beneath the surface? And as Alex gazed at Emma, questions swirling like autumn leaves in a gust, a cold dread crept into the corners of his heart. This was just the beginning. But he had no idea how far down the rabbit hole went. The storm was far from over. Emma's breath hitched as she stared at the void left by the figure. The shadows in the room felt like they were closing in, thick and suffocating. What had just happened? The air hung heavy with dread, tugging at her like a physical weight. Alex's voice broke through her spiraling thoughts. You need to tell me everything, now! His eyes burned with urgency, the tight lines around his mouth showing his worry. I didn't want you to know, Emma murmured, her voice trembling. She wrapped her arms around herself, grounding herself as a phantom fear lingered. I thought I was free. Free from what? He pressed, stepping closer, desperation curling in his gut. What are you hiding? Suddenly, a noise shattered the tension. A loud crash echoed down the hall, like thunder rolling toward them. Emma flinched, glancing toward the door. They weren't alone. Stay close, she whispered, and he felt the raw urgency in her words. Then, without warning, a woman burst through the door. Her hair streamed like a black flag behind her, and she was panting, her wide eyes darting between Alex and Emma. Emma, run! Panic twisted her features. What? Emma's voice shook, the earth feeling unstable beneath her feet. But now! The woman yelled, urgency slicing through the air. She reached for Emma's hand, pulling her towards the door. Who are you? Alex shouted, stepping forward, instinct moving faster than his thoughts. The woman's eyes were wild, glazed with fear. But she didn't answer. Instead, she grabbed Emma and yanked her toward the exit. Please, Emma cried, struggling against her. I can't leave without him. Stop fighting, Emma. You don't understand. What don't I understand? Alex screamed, confusion flooding him. What's going on? And then it happened. A sharp, metallic sound. A flash of sunlight glimmered off something sleek and deadly. A knife, waist high, in the woman's hand. Emma gasped, pulling back, and the truth unspooled, spiraling into chaos. Emma! Alex shouted. A whirlwind of emotions crashed over him. Fear, rage, desperation. In that horrifying moment, as the knife sliced through the air, he knew everything had changed. "Stop!" Emma cried, lunging between them. And then it happened. The knife plunged not into Alex, but into Emma's side. The world shattered around him. A scream tore from his lips, echoing through the small room like a death knell. Those few seconds dragged into forever. He felt a violent twist in his chest, panic clawing at his throat. Emma staggered back, eyes wide, shock painted across her face. "Alex, Her voice broke, and a deep crimson blossomed through her shirt, spreading like ink in water. "Why?" he gasped, caught between horror and disbelief. But the woman, with her fierce eyes flickering with regret, murmured, "I didn't mean to." But there was no time to dwell as Emma fell. "Emma!" Alex shouted, rushing to her side. She crumpled against him, warmth seeping away, her eyes searching his. "You have to find the truth. Trust me, I love you." His heart thundered, the weight of her words crashing over him, filling every crevice with doubt and pain. "No, you can't leave! Not like this! Not after everything!" The hallway pulsed with distant footsteps, rapidly approaching. They were coming. "Alex," she whispered, her voice fading. That spark in her eyes dimmed, slipping through his fingertips like sand. His breath caught, a chasm opening between them. She couldn't die like this. Not. When everything was unraveling, but in that moment, something flickered in her gaze. Understanding mingled with sorrow. "Look for the red thread! They'll come for you. They'll come." And then, silence. She went limp, her expression still yet haunted. Terror coursed through Alex as he held her, the weight of realization crashing down. Everything he'd thought he knew, every connection, every emotion, torn apart like delicate fabric. The harsh reality of her words rang in his ears. But before he could process the enormity of the moment, darkness swept over them as the lights flickered again. The sound of footsteps grew louder, urgent. Someone was coming, and the truth of Emma's final words hung in the air, heavy and terrifying. What red thread? What debts? As he looked down at Emma, lifeless in his arms, the storm around him threatened to swallow him whole. None of this made sense. But one thing was certain. He was about to step into a world that would change everything. A world where truths are darker than lies, and no one was what they seemed. As Alex knelt there, clutching Emma's lifeless form, the weight of reality pressed down on him. He felt hollow, like a vessel battered by waves. Her warmth was fading, replaced by an icy chill, and the world around him blurred with despair. "Emma, please, don't leave me," he whispered, panic tearing at his heart. The distant sounds of footsteps echoed, becoming louder, closer. He knew they had to move, but the bond he felt to her was a chain wrapped around his heart, locking him in place. "Jesh up!" shouted the woman who had attacked, her voice cutting through his anguish like a jagged knife. She stood by the door, torn between fear and guilt. Her hands trembled, the knife still gleaming ominously. "We don't have time!" Shut up! Alex roared, the fire of rage igniting within him. You did this! He could barely breathe, but he drew in a harsh breath, swallowing his grief down. You're going to pay. No, you don't understand, she pleaded, but Alex barely registered her words. All that mattered was Emma, lifeless in his arms. He could feel a storm brewing inside him. A whirlwind of emotions threatening to explode. Suddenly, a loud crash rang out from the hallway, and the door slammed open, nearly flying off its hinges. A figure rushed in, silhouetted against the brightness outside, tall and menacing. They loomed over them like a dark cloud. "Alex!" they shouted, voice sharp and commanding. "We need to get out now!" He recognized that voice, even through the haze of panic. It struck him like lightning. It was Sarah, the ghost from his past. The woman he had lost so long ago. His heart raced in the sight of her, but confusion twisted through him. "What are you doing here?" But before Sarah could respond, the lights flickered violently, plunging them into a flickering twilight of fear. A shattering sound reverberated through the air, echoing like thunder. Another presence. "Where is she?" a new voice demanded, cold and ruthless. Emma's eyes fluttered open, a fleeting spark of light in the dark. "No, you can't, it's too late." Time froze. The room felt alive, thick with tension, like the moment before a storm breaks. Alex glanced at Emma, still in his arms, as a terrifying realization spread through him like ice. "Emma!" he commanded, voice sharp as glass. "What do you mean, too late?" But before she could answer, Sarah surged forward, looking crazed with urgency. "We don't have time for this! Just go, Alex!" And then it happened. "Alex!" a voice echoed from the doorway. A dread he couldn't shake clawed through him. He turned, and there came a second figure, stepping confidently from the shadows. Jake, the man who had burst in earlier. But now he looked different, like a predator closing in on its prey. "Emma, you're in danger because of him!" he screamed, pointing at Alex. "He's playing a part and you don't even know it. The debts aren't just about money, it's blood. His blood." A gasp filled the room as all eyes turned to Alex. Confusion washed over him, turning to dread. "What? Emma is in this because of you, rich boy. And you don't even see it." Jake's voice dripped with venom. "You're the key to a past you can't escape." And as the words sank in, everything began to unravel. Memories he'd buried, ties he thought severed, came rushing back. The connections, the lies. Emma's expression morphed, disbelief twisting into pain. "No, it can't be. Alex, please tell me it's not true." But in that moment, everything shattered. The room buzzed with chaos, footsteps pounding, walls closing in, darkness creeping. Each heartbeat echoed like a clock ticking down to a catastrophic end. "Wait! We can fix this!" he shouted, desperation spilling out. But as Alex looked toward Emma, he knew they had crossed a threshold and there was no turning back. The storm had unleashed its fury. They were caught in an intricately woven web of secrets. And amid the dreaming shadows, he realized this wasn't just about them anymore. Threats loomed, and darkness seeped through every crack. Would they escape this time? But then came a chilling silence, and for the moment, all they had was uncertainty, as Alex knelt there, Clutching Emma's lifeless form, a wave of desperation washed over him, thickening the air around them. He was losing her. The footsteps echoed louder in his ears, a reminder that time was slipping away. He felt paralyzed, trapped in this nightmare that seemed to stretch for eternity. "Get up!" the attacker shouted again, her voice trembling. But the room was filled only by the sound of Alex's racing heart. He couldn't allow himself to think beyond this moment. Every second was a drop of agony pooling inside him. "Emma, please!" he choked out, tears clinging to his lashes. She looked so peaceful, so still. The warmth fading from her body felt like a flame extinguishing in slow motion. "Don't you understand?" the woman pleaded, her panic spilling over. "We need to go! They'll be here any second!" Who's coming?" But Alex barely heard his own voice over the whirlwind in his mind. He was grasping at straws, trying to make sense of the chaos. From the shadows, Sarah shouted, "It's the syndicate! They won't stop until they find her!" "Stop!" he yelled, frustration boiling over. "I can't just leave her! She needs help!" Suddenly, in the charged silence, Jake stepped forward, a new kind of urgency in his eyes. "Emma is more than you know, Alex. She's not just a seamstress. She's connected to something deep." His voice dropped, a ghost of fear shadowing his features. "And they want her because of you." "What are you talking about?" Alex's pulse quickened. Then, before anyone could reply, the air shifted once again. Lights flickered, and a loud crash resonated down the hallway, ricocheting like an alarm. "Run!" Sarah shouted, her eyes darting towards the door. But Alex couldn't move. He was rooted, still trying to comprehend everything that had just been unveiled. Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the air, reverberating through the chaos. "Let go!" Another woman burst into the room, her voice slicing through the panic, fierce and electrifying. She swept in like a force of nature, hair whipping behind her, eyes blazing with intensity. "What are you doing? You can't! I didn't think you would find them!" "How are you?" Alex demanded, shocked and confused. But before she could answer, she lunged for Emma. "No, get away!" Alex shouted, but it was too late. The newcomer grazed a hand on Emma's shoulder, and a vibrant flash pulsed through the room, bathing everything in blinding light. In that split second, a vision, deep and vivid, filled Alex's mind. He saw Emma, a younger version of her, laughing freely among friends, surrounded by bursts of colour. Her sewing machine turning ordinary fabric into something magical. But alongside that joy, darker figures loomed, shadows creeping into the scene, whispering secrets and plotting chaos. Suddenly, the light exploded, the room trembling under its force. Alex shielded his eyes, and when he looked again, everything had changed. The woman stood back, shaking her head. "You don't understand, do you?" she breathed, and her eyes glimmered with something unsettling. "Understand what?" His voice was hoarse, a sense of dread clawing at his insides. "They're after her because she's one of them. Part of the syndicate. They've been manipulating you from the start." The revelation crashed into him like a tidal wave. Emma, watching from the fringes, her face pale, nodded slowly. I thought I could escape it, but they found me. Emma, no! Alex gasped, his world spinning as he tried to process the gut-wrenching truth. Tell me it's not true! But as he watched her tear-filled eyes, the weight of understanding crashed down like a thunderclap. A shattering silence loomed over them, heavy with realization. Trust had been an illusion, and in a flash, everything they built began to unravel. Why? He whispered, desperation slicing through his chest as raw emotions surged. I wanted to protect you. I didn't want you to become part of this. Tears streamed down her cheeks. But it was too late. Overwhelmed, Alex felt the ground shift beneath him, crumbling. Nothing was as it seemed, and the storm that loomed was beyond his grasp. Dark figures materialized in the doorway, and with cold determination, they stepped forward. They were here. Everything Alex thought he knew was in jeopardy. And there was no way to turn back now. Run! He shouted, his heart pounding as the first shadow crossed the threshold, a harbinger of chaos. The door slammed shut behind them, sealing away the last remnants of safety. Alex! Emma cried, reaching for him as the shadows advanced. We have to figure this out together! And in that moment, everything he believed transformed. Love and betrayal intertwined like threads of a dark tapestry. The storm was here, and no one could hide from the truth. As Alex stared at the shadows inching closer, his heart pounded in his chest. Emma's face was a palette of fear and determination. We have to get out of here, he urged, but uncertainty tightened around him like a vice. Before anyone could react, the lights flittered and turned off, plunging them all into darkness. The only sounds were the ragged breaths of the group, the rising tension like a coiled spring ready to snap. Then a loud bang echoed from the hallway, followed by footsteps. They weren't alone. Panic surged through him. We can't just stand here, he yelled, instinctively reaching for Emma's hand, pulling her closer. Suddenly, the lights flickered back to life, illuminating a scene that took the air from his lungs. The doorway was filled with people, a gang of faces he had seen in photographs, in newspapers, figures from a world he'd never imagined he'd be part of. Emma, you're in trouble, one of them shouted. Come with us now. Alex edged protectively in front of her, confusion gripping him. Who are they? He demanded, his voice barely above a whisper. They're from the syndicate, Emma replied, fear twisting her voice. Tears welled up in her eyes, and for a moment she looked small and vulnerable. They're my family. Time seemed to freeze. The word echoed in the air, thick with implications. Family. Everything Alex thought he knew slumped like a house of cards. What do you mean? He stammered, intentionally pausing, feeling the ground shift beneath him. What I haven't told you. My father is the leader. They're not just after me. They want control over everything. And you. Her voice was barely above a whisper, full of tremors. You were never just an escape. This, she gestured at the chaotic room, this was always part of it. The world tilted. Alex stumbled back, sweat trickling down his brow. You hid this from me? The betrayal sliced deeply, jagged edges scraping against the raw heartache blooming in his chest. "Alex, please," she begged. "I thought I could leave it behind, but they found me. They need me back for their schemes." The room buzzed with panic. The figures in the doorway were watching, their eyes glittering with anticipation. One stepped forward, a woman with a fierce expression. "You think you can run from your blood? You'll always be tied to this. You're coming with us, Emma." "No!" Emma screamed, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I won't go back! Not after everything!" Just then a loud echo filled the room, heavy like a dark omen. The air thickened as the realization hit him like ice water. "Wait!" Alex interjected, his voice rising above the chaos. You lied to me about everything!" Emma's eyes widened, and in that moment he saw the truth. It wasn't just her. There was something more. Before he could probe deeper, Jake shouted, "We have to protect her! Don't you get it? This isn't just about her life, it's about yours too!" As the words hung heavy in the air, a strange pulse rippled through the atmosphere. Then something shifted in Alex's stomach, a gut feeling that maybe he wasn't just in the wrong place. He was in the crosshairs of something far more dangerous. Emma turned to him, eyes pleading. "Please, you have to believe me. I was trying to shield you." But as she spoke, the shadows crept closer, and a strange voice boomed from the back of the crowd. "It's time for the truth to unfold." And just like that, everything shifted again. A crack of energy rippled through the air. The ground quaked as if the very building was alive. Suddenly, the chaos peeled away. Alex realized with horror that the figure at the back wasn't just another member of the syndicate. He was a ghost from his own past. Someone he thought was gone forever. "Dad?" he breathed, eyes wide in disbelief. The truth hit like a sledgehammer. The darkness lingered, thick and suffocating. Relationships shattered and twisted. Secrets uncoiling like a tangled ball of string. Alex was trapped, ensnared in a web of deceit that wove everything he thought he knew into a nightmare. With his father's face glaring back at him through the shadows, time ground to a halt, leaving only confusion and dread in its wake. The storm was here! And as the truth began to unravel, leaving an impossible choice hanging in the air, Alex wondered, what horrors awaited him now? As Alex stood there, his heart caught in a whirlwind of confusion and dread, the sound of footsteps grew closer, echoing like a drum roll of doom. He searched the faces surrounding him, looking for something, anything, that could make sense of this nightmare. "Dad!" he breathed. But the shock dissolved into something heavier. The man before him wasn't just a face from the past. He was a ghost resurrected from a grave he thought long forgotten. "Alex!" his father said, voice low and low, eyes piercing. The familiarity of his voice sent a shiver down Alex's spine. "You need to understand why this is happening." Emma stood frozen, her breath hitching, torn between fear and a deeper understanding. "This isn't your fight," she whispered, almost pleading, her eyes darting between Alex and his father. But something in Alex snapped. "You lied to me!" Pain cut through every word. "You hid everything from me!" The room tightened like a vice. Shadows stretched in the harsh light. The impending menace loomed, hovering like a storm cloud ready to burst. And then, in a moment that shattered time, A deafening crash echoed through the building. The front door burst open, splintering against the wall, and in charged a group of armed figures, faces obscured, eyes hidden behind dark masks. "Find her!" one of them barked, his voice slashing through the chaos. "Secure the area!" Panic erupted. Emma gasped, and Alex felt the world tilt under his feet. "What do they want?" he shouted, his voice cracking against the fear welling up inside him. "They want you!" Jake shouted, his face pale, eyes wide. "They think you're the key!" "Stop this! Everyone, just stop!" Alex's voice rang out, desperate. "We need to get out of here!" Suddenly, the man who claimed to be his father stepped forward, hands raised. "No one's leaving," he said, his voice booming. "Not until the truth is out." Then the unexpected happened. One of the masked figures suddenly removed their mask, revealing a face that sent shockwaves through Alex. It was Sarah, the woman he thought he'd lost to the past. Now standing before him, she looked raw, jagged, as if she had been through fire. "Alex, I'm sorry!" she cried, desperation flooding her voice, eyes darting around, frantic. "I was trying to protect you, but it's too late!" "Protect me from what?" he shot back, disbelief twisting through him. "From my own family? From knowing the truth?" The air thickened with tension. Those around them held their breaths, uncertainty clouding every expression. Emma squeezed Alex's hand, her grip firm. "We don't have time. We have to move." But then Sarah, trembling, whispered the words that chilled Alex to the core. "It was your mother who started this. She's the one who pulled the strings. And she's coming for you. All of you." Silence fell, heavy and suffocating. Everyone stared, shock rippling through the group. His mind reeled, memories clawing at him, piecing together the fragments of his past. His mother, hidden behind layers of smiles and safety, had orchestrated everything. "No!" Alex gasped, stepping back as if punched. "No, that can't be true." "It is." Sarah's voice was a somber whisper. She knew what Emma was. She knew what you were too. And it was never about love. It was about control. With that, something in Alex shifted. Rage and sorrow twisted together, embracing a darkness he hadn't yet acknowledged. The pieces of his life, the frayed edges of loyalty and betrayal, fell into place. Suddenly, the ground shook with urgency. A new wave of figures surged into the room, backed by heavy footsteps, ready to seize control. "Run!" he yelled, panic surging through him. But as he turned to grab Emma, he was met with an empty space. She was gone. "My God," he breathed, fear rippling through him like a shockwave. "Emma!" And in that moment, everything transformed again. Relationships fractured like glass, revealing hidden truths that twisted the very foundation of their lives. Doubt seized him. Where was Emma? Was she running toward freedom or straight into the snare of betrayal? With a heart pounding wildly, Alex raced after her, knowing the storm of secrets and lies was just beginning to unravel. And all he could do was chase the shadows into the unknown. As Alex darted down the dimly lit hallway, fear coursed through his veins like ice water. The echoes of shouts and shuffling footsteps mixed with his racing heart. each beat urging him to hurry. He could not lose Emma. He couldn't let her slip away. "Emma!" he shouted, the name hanging in the air, heavy and desperate. He turned a corner, his breath escaping in jagged gasps, and there she was, standing near the end of the hallway, her silhouette outlined by the flickering overhead lights. Relief washed over him for a fleeting moment, but something was wrong. Her face was pale, almost ghostly, and her eyes were wide with fear. "Alex!" she screamed, as if awakening from a nightmare, and took a step back. "You need to go! Now!" "What are you talking about?" His voice was tight, confusion swirling in his mind like a storm. He rushed toward her, but a sudden pounding from behind made him freeze. "Stay where you are!" came a gravelly voice from the shadows. Alex's heart raced. A figure stepped into the light, revealing a man with an intimidating presence, his eyes glinting with malice. "You've made a mistake showing up here, kid." Alex's fists tightened, a surge of adrenaline coursing through him. He felt the weight of determination. "I'm not going anywhere without her." A low chuckle rumbled from the man. "You don't even have a clue, do you?" His gaze shifted to Emma, lingering with an unsettling interest. "You can't protect her. Not from the truth." "Enough!" Emma shouted, the tremor in her voice belied by the fiery determination in her eyes. "I won't let you take me back." Suddenly, the man lunged forward, but Alex was quicker. He grabbed Emma's hand, and they bolted down the dim corridor, fear pounding beneath their feet. Then, out of nowhere came a blinding flash, a burst of light, so sharp it stopped them in their tracks. Time froze. Everything around them vanished into a haze. "Alex!" Emma's voice broke through, but he couldn't respond. His eyes widened as he saw a whirlwind of images swirling around them. Scenes playing out like a reel of film. Memories. Faces. Then came the revelation. A figure emerged from the chaos. A woman. Her features strikingly familiar. It was his mother. "Mom," he whispered, as recognition hit hard, a punch to the gut. Her eyes shone with tears, but they were filled with something deeper, a history he had never known. She looked older, frailer, but her presence held power. "Alex, you have to listen," she said, her voice steady, despite the storm raging around them. "Everything you think you know about Emma is a lie, and I played a part in it." Shock wiped away his anger like a cleansing wave. "What do you mean?" "She's tied to the syndicate," she explained, every word sharp as glass. "But that's not the worst of it. Her true identity is—" Before she could finish, the ground shook violently. The darkness erupted into chaos, and the figure lunged at them again, panic slicing through the air like barbed wire. "Stay back!" Alex yelled, pushing Emma behind him. He felt the rush of gravity pull them toward an unseen abyss. "Alex, you have to know the truth!" his mother shouted, desperation cutting through the noise. "Emma's not just some random girl. She's the key to everything." And just like that, the lights dimmed and crashed into darkness again. The world spun wildly. Dread pulled in Alex's stomach. He didn't know whether to fight or flee. Then, in a moment of terrifying clarity, he felt an intense surge. The images converged, and he understood. Emma was more than a seamstress. She was a connection to a legacy, a web Alex never anticipated weaving his own life into. But the truth was more dangerous than he could have imagined. "Alex!" she cried, desperation tinged with an inkling of betrayal. "You need to run! They'll hunt you down!" And as the shadows danced around them, the figure reappeared, looming. Larger than life, eyes burning with intent. Alex felt the air crackle with tension as realization hit him like a freight train. "The debts," he breathed, piecing together the scattered fragments of his life. "It's not just about money, it's blood." Suddenly, everything shifted. The walls pulsed like a heart about to explode. Pains of past choices clawing their way to the surface. His chest tightened as the revelation sank in. His connection to the syndicate was deeper than he ever understood, rooted in the secrets of his family. And as the darkness narrowed, the final thread unraveled before him, leaving nothing but doubt and a gut-wrenching fear of what lay ahead. The shadows blurred, swirling and gnashing like hungry wolves. And right! As he turned to Emma for clarity, light filled the corridor, engulfing them whole. And then there was silence. No footsteps, no cries, just an overwhelming sense of loss and the excruciating weight of impending doom. What had just happened? What would they become? The air crackled with tension as Alex and Emma stood facing the darkness, the haunting echoes of their past looming behind them. His heart raced as he tried to process the chaos unfolding. The truth hung in the air, and every breath felt heavy with dread. "Mom!" Alex shouted, desperation bleeding through his voice. "What do you mean? What truth?" But the moment stretched, unyielding. The shadows inched closer, thick with malice, and he felt the walls closing in. Around him! "Emma, we can't let them take you!" Emma's eyes glimmered with unshed tears. "Alex, I won't go back. I can't." Suddenly, the lights flickered to life, revealing the encroaching figures. The masked men were relentless. They had come for Emma, yes, but now it seemed they were after Alex too. "Run!" Sarah screamed, her voice slicing through the surge of despair. "You both need to go. Now!" Without thinking, Alex grabbed Emma's hand, their connection igniting a spark of courage. They sprinted down the hallway, each thud of their feet echoing like a drumbeat of panic. The pounding footsteps followed, relentless and haunting. "Where do we go?" Emma gasped, fear etched on her face. But Alex had no answers. All he felt was an instinct to protect her, to shield her from the darkness closing in. "Just keep moving!" They burst through a side door, spilling into a dim alleyway, gasping for air. The night was alive with sirens and distant shouts, a cacophony that underlined their terror. "We can't slow down," he urged, breathless. "We have to find a way to escape this." Emma's expression softened, a mix of fear and gratitude. "Thank you for not leaving me." Her voice trembled, but he saw the strength hidden beneath. Just then, the alley was lit by the glaring headlights of multiple vehicles. The syndicate was closing in. Adrenaline surged through him. "This way!" He pulled her into a nearby door, praying it wasn't too late. Inside, they were met with silence. The room was empty except for dust and shadows. "What now?" Emma whispered, her eyes wide with uncertainty. "Maybe we can find a way out through here," he said, scanning his surroundings. Just then, an idea struck. Wait! Your sewing machine! You can create something, right? Emma blinked, her mind racing. You think I can just whip up an escape plan in a dusty old room? But the look in his eyes, the determination, the urgency, sparked something within her. Okay. Together they frantically rifled through discarded fabric while the sounds of footsteps approached. As a plan began to form, Alex felt a surge of hope flicker. Suddenly, the door crashed open, the masked figures pouring in. They had found them. Alex, now! Emma shouted, furiously working as she tossed colour and fabric into the air. A dazzling whirl of cloth emerged, catching the light. It almost glowed. In that moment of chaos, she flung the fabric toward the intruders. Make it a distraction! Alex grabbed a handful of fabric, spinning to throw it in their direction, as Emma yelled, now! The fabric exploded in a vibrant cloud, momentarily blinding their pursuers. Go, go, go! He tugged at Emma, sprinting past the bewildered figures, emerging into the night air, freedom and fear battling within him. They dashed toward the street, and as they reached a corner, Alex pulled Emma close. Are you okay? Her breath was shaky, but determination sparkled in her eyes. We're still not safe. And at that moment, Alex felt the weight of all they had been through resting on his shoulders. I won't let anything happen to you. I promise. Just as they prepared to move again, a figure approached from the shadows. It was Jake. You two, he panted. There's no time. We need to get to the docks now. Why should we trust you? Emma shot back. You don't have a choice. Jake's voice was raw, desperation etched on his face. They're coming for all of us. Alex shared a glance with Emma, the pulse of uncertainty lingering, but it was their only option. Stay close, he whispered. And with hearts racing, they followed Jake into the unknown. As they moved through the alleys, everything felt surreal. Shadows darting, whispers bouncing off walls. Was freedom at their fingertips? Or would the darkness swallow them whole? With every step, hope flickered, leaving the air heavy with anticipation. But amidst the chaos, they knew one thing. Their fight was far from over. And outside, under the sprawling night sky, the world waited. Subscribe immediately to this channel so you don't miss any of our next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about this ending. Did you see that coming? And don't wait another second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know this outcome. Your support matters.